Okay, so let's try this next question. This is a more involved query because it requires us to look at multiple tables. So far, we have only been looking at either the employees table or the departments table. Now, since the information about salaries is stored somewhere else from the employees table, we need to query both tables, but we need to do it at once. We cannot do multiple queries. Of course, we can, but we can do it with one query, which is more efficient and quick. So we need to answer the question of the highest paid employee. Who are they? In order to do that, first we need to look at the salaries table, find the highest salary, and as we looked at before, the employees table is related to the salaries table by employee number. So as soon as we get the highest salary from the salaries table, we will also have the employee number. So we're going to take that employee number, go to the employees table, and find out who the employee with that employee number is. And that will basically tell us who is the highest paid employee. So let's do that. So instead of writing the whole thing at once, what we're going to do is write it in iterations, refine it until we get to the answer we're looking for. So we know we're looking for salaries. We're looking for the highest salary. So what we can do is first get all the salaries. Also, we need the information about the employee, so we don't want to choose a specific column. We can get all the salaries. We can start by getting all the salaries. So let's do that. Select everything. Again, asterisk means everything or all of them from salaries. Let's execute this. So these are all the salaries that we saw before, but there is no guarantee that they are sorted because you can see this one is 66,000, and as soon as it jumps to a different employee, it goes to 43,000. You can see if you scroll down, it goes to 70, 80, and then goes back to 40. So it's not sorted. So we need to sort the salaries table from high to low in our case because we want the highest and we want it to be at the top. So let's sort it by in decreasing order or descending. For sorting in a certain order, in SQL we use the keyword order by, and then we need to tell it what to order it by. We want to order it by the salary column, and we can either tell it to order it in an ascending or descending order. Naturally it's ascending, but we want it to be descending because we want the highest salary to be up on the first row. So let's do descending, and the keyword for descending is desk. So let's see what this gives us. You can see it was 60,117, right? Now I execute this. Now we get the highest salary. It's actually $158,220. So we immediately see that the employee who is highest paid has this number. So if we were doing this manually, let's comment this out. What we would do is take this number, employee number, and find out who they are. So the same thing that we used before. So let's select the employee with this ID. So we want to select, let's say we just want their first name and last name, or let's get everything from employees. Now we need to provide a where clause. Where is basically saying based on this condition. We don't want all the employees. We only want the employee with this particular ID or employee numbers. So let's do that. So the condition that we provide to the database is using the clause called where. So we need to ask the question now. We want the employee number to be this specific number. So we want this employee number to be, in this case, we use the equal sign, this number. So let's put in 43,624 and execute this. And now we know who that is. This is the person who is the highest paid in the organization. But in order to get to this answer, which is the correct answer, it took us 2 queries. But we don't want to do 2 queries because 2 queries are inefficient when there is a more efficient way of doing this in 1 query. So SQL is a language, and just like any other language, there are many ways to say the same thing. There may be more efficient, less efficient ways, simpler ways. So we're just going to pick one way of asking this. we're going to do it in one query, but it's simple. It may be efficient, it may not be efficient, but it's one way of doing it. So let's do that. So we're going to combine these two. Okay, so before combining these two, there are some modifications that we need to do. Let me comment this out and run this one again, so you can see um, what is going on. So we did find the highest salary, right? They ordered it for us in descending order, but it's still returning all the salaries. But we're only interested in the top one because we're only interested in the highest one. So what we can do to prevent it from returning anything else, if we want the top one or the top n for that matter, there is a keyword that we can use to limit the number of results that are returned. And that keyword is called limit, and then followed by how many results we want. So let's add a limit here. Limits. In this case, we want the highest one, so we can just add one. So let's see how many results are returned. Limit 1 means top one, so we got this one. Now we can basically pipe this statement into the next one. Instead of giving it the actual number, we can replace this number with this SQL statement, and then it will take that for us. So let's do that. So let's comment this. I'll comment this one and replace this one with our previous query that we copied. We have to put it in brackets. Now it's much longer, but what we did was basically move parts around to compose a query from two queries. So we have selected the top one, but we still have more information that we need. We're only interested in the employee number, but this result is returning all the columns. So we need one column because this thing also takes one column, one result, because we were feeding 43,624. We need to choose only the employee number. So no more rows, no more columns. We just need a cell. We just need that entry with the specific employee number. So let's modify this to select only the employee number column instead of all the columns. So let's do that. And this is what we will need to replace. Instead of the star, we just want the employee number. So let's see how this runs. Here we go. So now we know the employee with this ID is the highest paid employee in the entire organization. So there's going to be a number of successive NVIDIA quizzes that will ask you what the queries look like for some simple questions similar to the ones that we have seen. You're not required to input select statements. You can choose one from a multiple set of options. And then after that, we will move on to the more involved task of doing this not inside a GUI client, but actually from a programming language or some environment where we have the capability to import this data and do whatever we want with it. So for this, we're going to be using a Python notebook. I'll say a little bit more about Python notebooks, but again, at the end of this module, you will have the Python notebook available for you to play around with. So we're going to move on to the next one. So these are the basic answers that we were looking for, and we got all of them. So I hope you have fun answering the quizzes about the next questions that we want to ask our database, and then I will meet you in the next section where we'll do some Python stuff doing the same thing.